On last Friday's show, we got to talk to incoming freshman Jalen Washington. I thought, why not? Let's keep the train rolling this week. So we've got another one of Carolina's incoming freshman basketball players joining us on today's show. It's none other than Mr. Tyler Nickel. Oh boy, this dude is awesome. Can't wait for you to hear from him and how he loves to slam all over people. Let's get into it right now on today's episode of Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, it's Friday, May 27th, 2022. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. As always, I'm your host, Isaac Shade, beat writer for Sports Illustrated's All Tar Heels website. And I want to thank you for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listen or your first watch every single day. Please don't forget that we are free and available anywhere you get podcasts. So please go ahead and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Hit subscribe, smash the like button, leave a great comment. Maybe you have a question for Tyler that you want me to follow up with. I would be happy to do that. Speaking of which, let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into this conversation with incoming freshman Tyler Nickel. Such a joy to be joined here on Locked On Tar Heels today by incoming freshman basketball player Tyler Nickel from Virginia. Tyler, it's great to have you, man. Thanks for taking some time out of your day.
Yes, sir, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, I know that people are super stoked to get you on campus and looking forward to this class with you and Will and Jalen and Seth. Like, it's just, man, it's a great crew coming in to add to an already loaded roster. And so just right out of the gate, just want to take some time to get to know you. Let the Carolina family figure out who Tyler Nickel is. And so speaking of that, I just want to start off by saying, tell us about your family. Tell us about your home life.
So I'm from Elkton, Virginia. I go to high school in Elkton, Virginia. I've grown up with my mom, my dad, and my two brothers. My brothers weren't really with me for a lot of my growing up because one of them's 8 years older, one of them's 6 years older. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so a little age discrepancy there, but, just they still helped me grow up and everything like that. So that's kind of me and my home life and just basketball through and through. So
that's great. It's funny. I was talking to Simeon Wilcher's dad the other day, and then talked to Jalen Washington last week, and they're all the youngest children too, and it's really formed their competitiveness and other things. Do you think that plays into who you are as a competitor?
Oh, for sure. Everything when you're growing up, when you got older siblings, like everything is competition. Everything, like even like food in the refrigerator, everything.
Yeah, man, you got to fight for scraps, bro. Get fed. That's great. So Elkton is, it looks like it's about an hour north of Charlottesville when I looked on the map. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so what size is your town? What do you do for fun? That kind of stuff.
Man, my town is tiny. Where I live is like a tiny little speck. We live like 10 minutes from Harrisonburg. Where we all spend a lot of time in Harrisonburg because that's where everything going on. But Elkton, man, it's just working class, blue collar, like that just is what it is here. The narrative of where we are is you work and you earn what you get, and you whatever it takes. You just got to put in the work, and then whatever you want is going to eventually get there. But humble beginnings, man.
Yeah, dude, get that. Love it. Love, man. And that's who Hubert Davis is. And I think, we'll talk more about that, but I love that that's the narrative for so many of you guys on this team is like, I work my butt off to get what I've gotten. And so excited to talk more about that in just a little bit here. I wanted to ask you, while I'm watching highlights, I notice on your left arm, you've got a tattoo up on your shoulder here, a couple others down on your forearm. You got any fun stories about your tattoos?
Yeah, man. I mean, so I've gotten some since then.
Okay.
But, so the 3 crosses up here, that's just because, I'm a believer. I'm heavy in my faith. So, that's a big part of me. then the verse that I have up here is Isaiah 54:17,
Yeah.
which involves the scripture of no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And then the crown with the 5 on top. So 5 was always my number, like nickel, 5 cents. I grew up with 5 people in the house,
Yeah.
all this type of stuff from the 540. So, 5 was always my number. And then the crown is just kind of like a sense of dominance of, nobody above yourself. Like the only person above myself is up here. So
Yeah,
you just have
that's
to
right.
see that way of living, and as far as on the court and off the court. Then down here I got VA with the stars around it. Just where I'm from, want to represent it. So, and then on the inside, it says anomaly, which in other words, just different, one of one, undescribable, undefinable. So yeah, that's all.
Dude, I love it, man. Thank you for sharing those. Like,
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing your faith. I know that's a very personal thing, but it's just neat to hear that. And again, that is part of what the Carolina family is. Coach Davis is a man of faith. Talking to Jalen Washington, that's a big part of his life. Talking to the Wiltshire family, that's part of it. And so it's neat to see that part of this Carolina family. Now, so here's my question. Are you going to fight Armando for number 5, or how's that going down?
Man, I gotta respect the big dog, man. He earned his stripes. He got it. So yeah, I'll find something else.
There you go. You can get it for 1 year, and then after he's gone next year, you can take it on. That's
We'll
cool.
see.
Hey, a lot of great players at Carolina have worn 5. It'd be neat to see you as part of that lineage for sure, man.
Yes,
That'd be
sir.
cool. Absolutely. Yeah, so that number 5 has been part of your life in a lot of ways. You were kind of joking about, your last name Nickel and being 5. My last name Shade. I hear jokes about my name all the time. Like, what are some of the ridiculous things you've heard about your last name being Nickel?
Man, I've heard like how people be talking about dimes or whatever, and like in sports and stuff, and they'll be trying to make that connection. There'll be I don't know. It's a bunch of stuff. They're like rhyme stuff with it. I don't know. It's just it is what it is though.
For sure, man. That's cool. I love it. I love it. I love it. So we were talking about food just a little bit earlier, and you fighting for scraps in the refrigerator. What, like death row meal? It's your last meal. What are you asking for?
Man, I probably have to say like lobster tails.
Oh, come on.
Got to,
Yes.
man.
Yes.
I
What are you
got put
drinking
on
with it?
those. What am I
Yeah.
drinking with it?
Yeah.
Um, probably lemonade.
Yeah.
Probably
That's
lemonade.
great. Yeah. So sorry, you were saying you got put onto those lobster tails.
Oh yeah, I just got put on to them recently, not too long ago. It was like a month or two before maybe I visited North Carolina, where I tried them for the first time, and then on the visit to North Carolina. So
Yeah.
that
That's
was
great.
yeah.
I love that. What about, man, I know people are all into streaming TV shows and movies. What are you watching right now?
Um, I mean, I would watch in winter time. I know the people in winter time not really a fan of winter time, but I've been watching it. It's interesting. And then like the Magic documentary I watched, or I'm still watching.
Yeah.
Um, All American when it drops, stuff like that. So
Cool.
that's really been it here recently though.
Yeah. Love that. What about music? What do you like to listen to?
I'm straight. Well, rap and R&B.
Okay. Who, like, game time? You're getting your head right. Who are you bumping?
Um, I don't know. Um, Pre-game, I'll probably say like um, mm, King Von. Um, I say some of Julio Fulio. Some of I listen to Glock 9, but it all depends. It
Yeah.
all depends.
That's cool. That's cool. So growing up there in Virginia, what teams did you cheer for growing up?
As far as like college,
Yeah, anything, college, pros, any of that.
um, I mean, I guess the Commanders now because they were
Yeah.
just the closest team.
Yep.
But I don't know. I actually had always liked UNC basketball, so it's funny how that came full circle.
It sure
But
is, man. That's pretty
um,
cool.
I would say I don't know. Well, I mean JMU just because they're right here, so I mean I go and watch them. But I never really like had. I would just watch like high profile anything,
Yeah. That's
and
cool.
I never really had like specific favorites.
Yeah. That's good. Speaking of professional stuff, I noticed on your Instagram you had reposted Steve Kerr's press conference from the other day after the school shooting, and I know like you as a high school senior, I have a son who's just finishing kindergarten. Like, man, this stuff is crazy, Tyler. What drove you to want to make kind of that public? Like, check out what Steve Kerr's saying. That's a big deal.
I mean, like he said at the beginning of the press, it's nothing's bigger than that right now. And like no matter what playoffs are going on, no matter what games are going on, no matter it really don't matter. The lives of people is more important than that. So um, I just kind of wanted to make what he's saying evident, and I wish everybody would post stuff like that. I mean, like he said, that there has to be change because we're getting to the point where all these condolences and oh I got them in my thoughts. That doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of issues with what's going on, and I mean, like he said, it's in certain people's hands to make those decisions, and the decisions need to be made. And I just wanted to make that evident.
Man, I appreciate that, Tyler. That just that's so thoughtful of you as a young man to go ahead and start using the voice that you have on the stage that you have as a basketball player to affect change in our world. So thank you for that.
Yes, sir, man.
So Tyler, just to round off this first section, if you could tell the Carolina family, like, hey, here's one thing that I want you to know about Tyler Nickel, it would be what?
I'm just a very loyal guy. Loyalty means a
Hmm,
lot to me. Um, I think that's a lot of what makes a person solid is their loyalty. So that's
that's great. Yeah, man, I love that. That's a great quality to have in this life. So good to hear. Thank you for sharing that. And so we're going to talk more about Tyler and what he brings to the court and what he sees in his game in just a second. But first, let me tell you about BetOnline. Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all your sports betting needs and info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including the NBA playoffs, which are just getting close to the finals, MLB scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering info from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about all the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. I want to encourage you to check out Locked On Sports today. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and Locked On's take of the day. Make sure to check out the podcast on the Odyssey app, on YouTube, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. We're joined on the Friday show by Tyler Nickel, incoming Carolina basketball freshman from Virginia. Great to have Tyler with us as he's getting into the summer and all sorts of fun stuff. So we're going to move into talking about his basketball game and why Carolina was the right spot and all that. And Tyler, that's actually where I want to start. You had mentioned in the first segment that you've kind of always been a UNC basketball fan. But there's a big difference between being a fan and this is where I'm committing to play my college basketball. What made North Carolina the right spot for you?
um I think it was just more so the energy and getting to know the coaches, the system, all the people in the program. Really, uh, when I went down there to visit, I really had an open mind with who I was left in my selection process. So um, I had gone down there, was just going to see how everything went, but when I was done with that visit, I knew I wanted to go.
Mm.
And so it just the energy around basketball there in general, um, the people, everybody in the program is solid people. So, you know, that gives you a lot of confidence, makes you feel comfortable, wants you to go there. After I played with the guys, um, being around the guys, being around the coaches, everything just, I knew I wanted to go.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, and everything that got you to that point was your high school career and playing there in Virginia. And for those who don't know, Mr. Tyler Nickel is the all-time leading scorer in Virginia history. Tyler, who are some of the people below you on that list?
I gotta start with some of them guys. JJ Redick, Grant Hill, um, Moses Malone, Allen Iverson, um, Alonzo Mourning. So the list goes on, but it's a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when you're sitting there, like naming off NBA All Stars that you have passed on a list, like does that just blow your mind? Like, what does that make you think?
It does. It didn't affect me the way a lot of people think it would. I think that's important because I put so much time and work and effort. I was never really chasing a record. I
Hmm.
was just trying to get better every day. So when that ended up being one of the results, like it's a really cool feeling, but it never really set in because I didn't see it as too big of a thing because I knew I was still going. And
Yeah.
now I do really have to appreciate, the situation I was in and blessed to be able to do that. But at the same time, I had never really given it much thought until it happened.
Yeah. And you strike me as someone who like you know those names, you know those guys, you appreciate the history of this game of basketball. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons that it really did have to set in my mind that it happened was because of the amount of respect that I have for Grace before me.
Mm. Man, that's awesome. I love it. And so, I also thought it was cool that you set the record on a defensive play. Like you got a steal and got that breakaway dunk to actually set the record. And it's kind of neat that that speaks to your all around game, right? Like I'm not just a scorer, but I'm a guy who can fill it up in a bunch of ways. And so that's a great transition to then talk about. Just tell us about your basketball game. What can we expect to see from Tyler?
So a lot of what I pride myself on is I'm a 3 level scorer. Well, really a 4 level scorer. Everybody says 3 level scorer as far as 3 point mid range at the rim. But I feel like my range kind of makes me a 4 level scorer. It's
That's great.
so that's a big part of what I do. Being able to create offense in a lot of different ways and being able to read the game, threats in a lot of different situations as far as off the pick and roll. ISO obviously is where I'm really comfortable, but I'm really comfortable in a lot of different ways. So that's part of it. And then on the defensive end, um, defend multiple positions, get after it, super competitive. Um, and I think that about sums it up.
Yeah. Speaking of positions, that was a question I wanted to ask you is do you see yourself like at the collegiate level more slotting in specifically to the three, moving kind of up to the four as your body continues to develop? Where do you see yourself?
So I'm a 3 for sure. So I've always, not always, but I've been a wing for the majority of my basketball career. And when I was talking to the coaches, as far as how I was recruited as a 3.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so, I mean, you look at somebody recently like Cam Johnson that has your height, your size. I mean, that's a obvious parallel for you to be able to take what you do up to what he's doing now in Phoenix, and that's awesome. And so, Tyler, I wanted to bring up, I had read a quote from your high school coach, and he said Tyler's work ethic and commitment have been contagious, and I see younger players follow his lead. He's such a good example on and off the court. He's always stayed true to his friends, teammates, our school, and our community, and I will always be thankful for that. And goodness, why is it important to you as a leader to set an example like that?
I feel like it's kind of my job, like for all the work that I've put in, but at the same time, I couldn't have put in any of that work without the people that were giving me that opportunity. At the high school, there's so many people that wanted to help me and wanted to make me the best player I could be. And I'll be forever grateful for that. They were always looking out for me, and I feel like I'm paying it back. I had a lot of big bros and a lot of just other people that were older than me and were giving me opportunity, giving me advice, giving me everything like that. So I feel like it's only right to pay it back.
Man, that's great. I love to hear that. We've had just one season of watching Hubert Davis's system at Carolina. Watching your game, it seems to me like it's going to translate really well to what Coach Davis has brought to Chapel Hill. How do you see that? How do you see yourself slotting into that?
I would agree with you. I feel like it's a really ideal situation for me to play in as far as, we play with pace, with space, giving guys opportunity to make plays all over the place, really, because their spacing is so good. So, yeah, I would agree with you wholeheartedly that I think it's going to translate really well.
Absolutely. And so when you look at some of, either guys that are at Carolina or have been at Carolina or maybe even NBA guys, who do you feel like your game translates to playing like, or maybe who do you want your game to be modeled after?
As far as Carolina, what you said about Cam Johnson, I definitely see that. I feel like to an extent, kinda Harrison Barnes,
Yeah.
but as far as the NBA, I feel like just as far as what I work on and what I do effectively, I would say that I say Jason Tatum's up there. I feel like the way Paul George played to an extent. But just those type of guys, just really skill oriented guys that just have such a good feel for the game, and they just so detail oriented, and so I feel like those are people that I play similar to and want to emulate.
Yeah. Listen, that would be great. Those are all great guys to model your game after. I love that. When you think about like what brings you the most joy on the basketball court, what is your favorite part of your game if you had to narrow it down?
What brings me the most joy? I say dunking on people. I think they see this white boy coming up the court, don't think I could really got bounce like that, and then try to meet me there at the top, and then they end up on a highlight reel. I think that's my favorite part.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. I love that. Love that. And I know people listening and watching this can't wait to see you put that into action when you get to Chapel Hill. And so we're going to talk about that and just Tyler's preparation for coming to college in just a second. But first, here's a couple ads for you. All right, we are joined today on Locked on Tar Heels by Tyler Nickel, who is going to be a freshman at Carolina this upcoming academic season and a big part of this incoming class of 2022. And so, Tyler, let's just talk about first you getting there. What have you graduated? Is your school year over? Where are you at?
So I had finished my classes early because I had the opportunity to. I could take accelerated courses. So I ended up doing that second semester. But I don't graduate technically until June 9th. And then I report down to North Carolina June 13th.
Okay, man. So you got just a couple weeks to spend time at home, and you got any last things you want to do before you head down to North Carolina?
There's not a whole lot to do in my area, if I'm gonna be honest. So I feel like I've done just about everything. Now I'm just trying to be in the best shape possible by the time I get down there.
Yeah. I mean, for those of you watching or listening, in full transparency, Tyler and I are recording this on Thursday night, and we're catching Tyler in between workouts and eating and ice baths and everything, and so Tyler's getting after that. And so, when you move up down to Chapel Hill, who are you going to be living with?
I think I'm in there with all the freshmen. I think, or at least that's.
That's what. When I talked to Jalen last week, that's what he said too. And so,
okay.
Hopefully, if two of you think that's the case, that's what's happening. So,
I hope so.
Yeah. So let's talk about Will. So this is Will Shaver and Jalen Washington and Seth Trimble. What kind of relationship have you been able to start forming with those other guys?
I've got a pretty good relationship with all of them. We have, we have a group chat and whatever once we all committed. But yeah, no, they're all good people, really talented guys. So I'm excited to get down there with them.
Yeah, man, should be a lot of fun. And so for you, you're sitting at home watching the run that this year's team went on all the way to that national championship game. What does it do for you knowing, hey, next year I'm about to be part of that?
Yeah, it's just like I was getting excited just watching them, like how everything was going, and I mean, I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
That's good. And so when you think about this first year for yourself, what are your hopes and goals and expectations for your freshman year?
To be honest, I just want to go in there and do what I do, and whatever comes with that comes with that. So, from day one, I'm just gonna come in, be me, as always, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, one of the famous things that happens in the summer in Chapel Hill is there's these pickup games where all these alums come back, and you've got guys with your name, Tyler Hansborough, Tyler Zealot, man. You got a famous name at North Carolina. Who are some of the guys, or maybe there's one or two who you're most looking forward to playing against this summer?
I heard Theo Pinson's energy goes crazy. So I want to see it in real life. And,
yeah.
Whoever else might come back. I mean, Tyler Hansborough's name is brought up constantly. So, being on the court with him would be cool.
Yeah, man. It's fun. I mean, Theo and the Mavericks are still playing right now, and it's just infectious watching the energy he brings. And my understanding is he talks a lot of smack in those games too, so that'll be fun to experience some of that. That'll be good. Well, on Thursday, Matthew Meyer cut a transfer from Baylor, cut his list down to North Carolina, along with Texas Tech, Illinois, and Memphis. And so if he committed, took that last scholarship for Carolina, it'd almost be like he's coming in with you four freshman guys. And so what would the dynamic be like to bring in somebody who's got all this experience, but essentially is a new guy just like you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about that situation. So, that would be, it'd be cool. Whoever comes in, they're going to be part of the family. So, whoever it is, and get to work, get after it.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Well, Tyler, the last question I always like to ask everybody, and it's funny because I'm asking you this on the front end of your Carolina career, and I'll be curious to ask it to you again after you graduate. But right now, just before you start your first year at North Carolina, what does it mean to you to be a Tar Heel?
I mean, it means a lot, man. You go somewhere with this type of history and this type of really family view of things. And that's one thing that kind of formed my decision to go into Carolina was when they say Carolina family, it really is Carolina family. Like it's not just some cheesy like brand, I guess, that they want to make for themselves. Like they really are Carolina family. Like everybody in the program went there, loved the program, loves basketball, and look out for everybody. So um, just to be part of that family, it means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tyler, I'm so grateful for your time tonight. I know you're a busy man, and so it means a lot that you would come on and share with us so we can just get to know you a little bit, and just means all that more when we get to start cheering for you this upcoming season.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's it for today's episode and this week on Locked on Tar Heels. Hope you've had a great week listening to the conversations, talking about Matas Buzelis, talking about football recruiting, all sorts of great stuff, and of course our conversation today with Tyler. Can't wait for some great new content next week coming up on the show. More conversations. Coach Pat Kilby and I are going to start working our way through reviewing and previewing all the upcoming Carolina basketball players one a week. And so we're going to start with the incoming freshmen this coming week. And so that will be great. Thanks as always for making Locked on Tar Heels your first listen or first watch. It means so much that you'd take time to do that. You can follow the show on Twitter at Locked on Heels. You can follow me at Isaac Shade, ISAACSCHADE. Also, make sure you go and give Tyler a follow on Twitter as well, and he's active on Instagram, all of that. And now let me encourage you to make Locked on NBA Big Board your second listen of the day. Rafael Barlow and all the guys give fans an in-depth look into the biggest prospects, mock drafts, the latest player rankings, and of course, all the big boards. So, follow Locked on NBA Big Board. You can listen every day on the Odyssey app, watch it on YouTube, or anywhere else that you get your podcasts. Thanks so much for spending your week talking Carolina sports with me. All sorts of great stuff going on. Baseball teams back in action today. Hopefully they can make some noise. Man, what a run they are on. Can't wait to see what happens in the ACC tournament for them. I hope you all have a great weekend. Can't wait to be back on Monday. But until then, remember that it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. Until then, peace.